Yes, we did that podcast. I think it was super fun. I was like, oh my gosh, this setup, we're talking. It felt so good.
Good. I'm glad that you said that because that's what I aim for.
Yes, no, it was awesome.
Good.
I think the way you I studied that podcast. I listened to that thing like 4 times. I was like, hey, let me see how she transitions. Oh, I see what she did there. That's how you went from this to this. Nice.
Well, and it's so funny too because speaking of free flowing and segueing and swerving, I always give my guests the option. I don't know if I did. I think I just took the liberty with you. I don't know if I even asked you. Every other guest I've asked, I've been like, do you want me to give you a list of questions ahead of time? Or do you want it to free flow? Do you want it to be structured or free flowing? And every single time except for one person has said, let's just roll with it. I don't want to know ahead of time. I'll overthink it. I just want to go with it.
Really?
Yeah, which has always surprised me because I thought that more people would want to prep.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, let's do it. That's my approach.
No, yeah,
so
just kind of wing it,
rock
feel
with it. Yeah.
I think I'm doing the same thing. It's like, especially when I hit you up, I was like, what do you want to talk about? Give me a couple topics, something we can kind of just mingle with, and then we just kind of go ahead.
Yeah.
How many people have you had on your podcast so far?
And speaking of Imperfect, I've had quite a few. I have just had some major tech issues.
Oh no.
So I've had more than I've launched and more than I've released.
Really?
Due to tech issues, yeah. But oh my gosh, I'm on episode 23.
That's released.
That's released, and I still
Was
have
that my
some more
episode?
to release. No, yours was 22.
22.
No, I'm about to release 23.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So, and I've had a few more since then, and a couple of people have to repeat due to tech issues. But yeah, it's been a wild ride, and I've loved every minute.
That's cool.
Loved it. So I'm so excited to see where you take it.
Well, thank you so much.
If you blow up, I know you will. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
In the best way.
I love the idea. I was like, I watched a lot of podcasts, and I love everybody I watch. I'm not going to name anybody, but like all the big podcasters on YouTube watching their content, even all the way, down to just local and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, man, it's just like, I want to talk about, all these people like having big guests like millionaires, and it's like, what'd you buy? Oh, I bought an NBA team, and it's like, oh, that's cool, but like, I want to talk about like the struggles you had to go through to get to that. Exactly. I want to talk about your imperfections. You hear me?
Totally.
Like, I want to get into the deep raw stuff that like how you got there. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you fight. Like let's hear like those kind of stories. Not like the successes, and those are good to hear. Those are good things to talk about, but
and how more inspiring is it? Well, everybody has an inspiring story, I think, and everybody has a story. That's the thing.
Very much.
Everybody has a story. You don't have to be a celebrity to have a riveting story or to have some depth and some soul to you. Everybody has a story to tell, whether they know it and whether other people acknowledge it. There's that. And then also, it's very inspiring when there's your neighbor down the street or somebody that is from your town that is going through some shit.
Right.
And they're able to tell you in real time how it feels. It just feels so real and raw. And that resonates deeply, I think.
Exactly. That's why just be able to talk about those raw feelings, because it's like if we can like learn and grow, it's like first like I love talking. I love talking and it's just like I have so many times I'll have a conversation. So many, like my whole life, everybody does this. You have a conversation and then you like leave it and you're like, oh, what did he say? Like that was really motivating. You remember the feeling?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You remember how you felt with that conversation? You don't remember the words of what that person may have said, but I was like, what's a way, and this is what got me thinking about it 8-9 months ago, and I was like, what's a way that you can like capture like those sentences, and that way you can relive those feelings and relearn. Like,
yes.
I've shot 4 episodes already. I've watched, besides from editing, I've watched all of them probably at least once, uploaded to YouTube, and then just watched YouTube, you know what I'm saying? All the way through, and it's like, man, sometimes you're so caught up and you're talking, like, oh, I didn't even notice you said that. That's a good, you're just training your brain and becoming a better person, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, and don't you love that podcasting is a platform for people to get their message out?
Exactly.
And just be themselves, and there is enough room for everybody because everybody has a unique message and story to tell and perspective and angle to look at things. There is plenty of room for everybody, and I love that it's just so accessible for people to start a podcast.
Exactly.
You really can, and that's the beauty of it.
Exactly. No, starting a podcast is awesome, and this was difficult to get it, And it's like I said, when I had that idea to have a podcast, I was like, especially when I jumped on here, just like seeing the audio, I was like, this is going to be.
Oh, and that's like, and I started, like we talked about, I started out slowly and I let it be shitty at first, and that was a big moment for me because a recovering perfectionist, everything has to be perfect and it has to be perfect from the jump. And I'm not going to release it unless it's perfect.
Oh yeah.
And so with this podcast, it was such a paradigm shifter for me that I was like, no, you're going to have to be okay with it not being ideal.
For now, yeah.
For now, exactly. Like you said, and I love that you made that distinction, because I am okay with letting myself grow into it and not needing it to be perfect. Because also, think about if you have any dreams or ambitions or ideas and you don't pull the trigger on them because you want them to be perfect, and then you just don't do anything, And so sometimes you just got to do it and let it suck at first, but strive to make it better and to improve. Don't just halt it right there. You still want to strive, like Gage said, but be okay with not being the best at first.
I totally agree. I did that mistake so many times. Like I have YouTube channels all over YouTube from 2010 when I was a dancer, then a gamer, then a vlogger, then a professional dancer, making professional content. And I got to a point where I was always like, oh, the bigger production, the better the content. And I was like, so this is time I wanted to be a rapper, and it was awful. But I was like, I'm going to have the best mic, and I'm going to have the best. So I got a credit card on $1,200 MacBook laptop, which was like the newest thing at the time. Then I got a nice $600 mic at the time. And I put like this in my room and got all this like foam and all this stuff, made a song. And everyone was like, this is shit's terrible. But like, and I was like, oh, whatever. So I stopped the rap thing right off the bat. That was like probably my shortest adventure. But then I was like, oh, like, okay, this dancing video. I'm making these dance videos. And you know what? This time I'm going to get a flight to New York. I'm going to go to New York, and I'm going to just shoot all the scenery and all the big spots. And I'm going to go to the top of the new tower. I'm going to go over the Statue of Liberty and just do all of these things and blah, 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 blah. To this day, that video has 200 views. And 50 of them are probably from me. So, and it's just like, it's so much where you think that like the more money and things that you put into it, but it's not. Like, you're totally right on the ball that it needs to be imperfect at the beginning. Like when I was like, this time I was the first time ever woke. Like even with the dance videos, I had Travis on. I paid Travis tons of money to shoot my dance videos because I thought I was gonna be better. But when I started the podcast, I was like, I was like, your stuff was solid. So solid. You know what I'm saying? I was like, it was just her that made the whole thing. The equipment didn't even matter. And I was like, this is woke for me. I'm like,
that means a lot. Thank you.
Seriously. And I was like, I want to start this podcast. And I do want a video portion, but I don't have the money. Like I had to skip rent, like I told you, to get the mic. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
we had a good conversation about all that goes into the equipment, y'all. You have no idea.
It's struggle.
My head spins, yeah.
But to keep it simple, I was like, I missed rent so I can get the recording, the mics and stuff. But the things that are recording us is this Osmo Pocket that I already had a $100 gift card from a family member.
Hell yeah.
And that's only a $300 product. And then I have my cell phone on the other hand, and then my camera that shuts off after 30 minutes. I have to connect my fiance's, not my iPad to, so I can record.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
You see what I'm saying? Exactly. So this is all low budget, but I was like, I just want to start. And that's what I hear from the same thing. I'm like, I just want to start. And no matter how shitty, I just have to be okay with it. Hope people will like the content. Bring on some amazing guests, you know what I'm saying? And go from there.
But even you can spend all the money in the world, and if you don't have the elbow grease to back it up, if you are not consistent, if you're not dedicated, if you're not devoted, if you're not putting in the work and the time, you can have the most expensive equipment in the world, and the people who have less expensive equipment will do laps around you.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like the podcast god would be Joe Rogan. Like everybody is like, Joe Rogan he pulls the numbers, he pulls the people, he's like whatever.
Yeah.
You watch it, it's like he has a brand, but it's like, what is that brand? Like the logo is just like a simple like 2D animation jumps in. There's no intro. He doesn't even have an intro. He's just like, all right, right into the conversation, blah, 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 blah. Like he does not like how I am like, this is da 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 da, you know? And it's just like so interesting. And then the lighting setup, you're like, what are those lights? Like he just doesn't care. Maybe he does or doesn't, or maybe that's just what he wants, but either way, that's not high budget. You know,
and that just goes to show you that it's about connecting with people, and he is able to connect with people.
Exactly. And that's what gets me. Like, I love him so much just because of that reason.
Sure, there's value in having like a high quality production, absolutely, not to diminish that. There is. But if you're able to connect with people, that far triumphs anything that you could invest in any of your equipment.
Exactly. I totally agree. It's just like, because you take a guy like Joe Rogan, where it's just like low budget, his background is a flag with a wallpaper brick wall.
Yeah.
There's stuff all over the table. Yeah. That would drive a set production person crazy. Like, there's so much things on the table. Clean this shit up.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know, like, and then you go somewhere into like Logan Paul with his Impulsive set. Yeah. I mean, that's LED lights, huge lights, expensive mics, custom made table with like a TV in the background. Like, that is high budget.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But Joe Rogan still got those numbers. And it's
Yeah.
Joe Rogan.
And that's what matters, right?
Exactly.
Nobody's going to be like, but these other guys have like the cool aesthetic and the cool vibe. And Joe Rogan's like, but I got the numbers.
I just jump in.
Yeah.
Like, you watch it, there's just no intro. Like, I'll be watching it, and it's just like Bernie Sanders comes onto his podcast. I'm like, this is crazy. He's like, all right, so how you doing, Bernie? And he's just like calm, no big intro, nothing of what he is. Like, you're just like, just right into the conversation. Like, it's just like another normal person.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, we have Bernie Sanders on the set. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But either way, I think podcasting, I think we both got a drive, and we did it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what it is. And that's what we talk about on your podcast. A lot of people will talk about what they want to do, but they never do it.
That's the thing. And like I said on my podcast, that's something that I so admire about you is you get in there and do it.
Just get it
You're
done.
not flaky. You're reliable. You're a man of your word. Like, you do what you say you're going to do, which is so rare. And then you actually like get in and do it, which is so cool because it's unique. You don't see that a lot.
Well, thank you so much.